Hey, and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm Elena Lipson. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and I'm the founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle membership and the Virtual Retreat Academy. I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your body, your health, or your family in order to create true abundance and prosperity. I believe in living based on the divine feminine metrics of success, and these include pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. Each week, I'll bring you 1 to 2 new episodes. One of these will be a guided meditation that you don't have to do on the meditation pillow, and the other will be a conversation to help you access your inner wisdom, to ignite abundance, and inspire others to do the same. I invite you to join me on this journey back to the magic of a divinely aligned and well cared for you. And now, join me for today's episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Divine Self-Care Meditations and Musings podcast. Today's episode is, well, it's all about the morning practice, but this one's a little bit different. This one's specially focused on you mamas out there. So as you saw by the title of the podcast, are your kids an excuse to skip your morning practice? We're going to be looking at the ways that we stop ourselves from taking care of ourselves, especially when we have kids, especially small kids, because now that my son is 13 and he loves to sleep in, my morning practice can be pretty expansive. It can be pretty luxurious, but it wasn't always that way. And when my son was little, I had full rights to go ahead and sleep in and not have a morning practice. And I would say that you can choose to do whatever feels best for you. And if you're looking for ways to actually have a morning practice, to actually create some expansion in your day, to do other things other than mothering all day, maybe you're building a business, maybe you have a creative practice, maybe you have like relationships that you want to actually maintain and to nurture and cultivate. This is going to require you to have, well, energy, right? Energy in a way that's different than before you had kids. In fact, it's really funny because when my friends and I talk about this, we're like, what the heck did we spend our time doing before we had kids? We could have started 3 businesses, learned 4 languages, traveled the world. Like, what did we do, right? So I wanted to share, first of all, a quick update about where I am, what I'm doing. It is now at the time of the recording of this episode, it is the end of November. I am getting ready to do 2 really fun things. One is host a 5-day magic morning challenge where I help you make over your morning and to actually get back on track with your practices, whether you've had a morning practice or you've never had one. I'm going to help you to start your day off with intention, with energy, with enthusiasm, and actually focus on the things you choose to create instead of becoming a victim of your own day, right? So you can actually find out more. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later as well. But if you want to jot it down, if you have a pen nearby, and I'll say it again later, in case you're walking or driving, it is easy to access on my website, elenalipson.com/magic morning challenge. And you can just click that link and sign up, and I'll send you a welcome email with a cool little kind of a prep kit for the challenge. The challenge begins on December 3rd. We'll do this again in other times of the year. It might be something I make available on an anytime basis, but as of right now, we're going to do it together, December 3rd, which is a Monday, next Monday. So when I ask people why they join this challenge, and so far it's been pretty much women joining the challenge, which is great because I'm focusing the challenge on moms, helping moms to make over your morning. If you're not a mom to children, but you have dogs and you have other things pulling on your attention, you are so welcome to join this challenge. I believe all women deserve a beautiful morning self-care practice. So when I ask women what their intention for joining this challenge is, some of the answers I've gotten were as follows. One woman says, I've gotten a little off track with my practices. I'd like to create a new morning practice that I can do around homeschooling my kiddos.
And then another woman says to bring back my quote unquote happy, which is awesome because for sure, I agree with that. I find my happy when I'm practicing my morning practice for sure. Then another woman said to up-level my mornings and my children's as well, which is huge because your children are watching you. You could tell them all you want to have an organized, easy, graceful morning. But if you're not having one, they're not going to have one either. And then another woman said, I intend to reset my life, which is no small task, but the Magic Morning Challenge is definitely the right path to take. And then another woman said, becoming the mother I want to be, which is amazing because we all want to do good by our children. We all want to show up happy and joyful and present and, just be that like happy mom, right? But so much of the time we're just so serious, taking care of business and getting our kids out the door, getting them ready for homeschooling, whatever they're doing. So really, this is a great opportunity to reset that intention. And then another lady named Amanda says to make time for self-care so I can be a better mom and wife, which is pretty much the whole intention of the challenge for me, for you. And then another woman says, managing my time and productivity better in the mornings. Absolutely. If you just jump into your day and start whatever your Facebook messages, your emails, that is going to mean that you are responding and reacting to other people's needs, to the news, to whatever's happening, to what's going on. And that is simply a way to stay distracted, to stay asleep, to stay at the mercy of the weather, the news, other people's needs, emails coming in. That's not how we get things done. If you have a life that you want to live by design, you are meant to start it with you at the center of your circle. You meeting your own needs first means that by the time your kids get up, or if they're waking up with you, then you are going to have the opportunity to not only shift your own day, but to really inform the way your kids start their day and everyone else in your house for that matter. So I was just back from teaching a retreat with my partners over in Ojai, California. And we had this gorgeous group of women who were entrepreneurs. A lot of them were moms. And we got into this conversation around morning practice because I teach morning movement and magic morning practice whenever I host a retreat. And I was so touched by one of the women there who's a single mom, a newly single mom, relatively newly single, and has 2 young children under the age of 6, I believe. And she was really resisting the morning practice, but for good reason. Her kids are very physical. They want to be with her right away. They wake up really early. So she was feeling very challenged in creating a morning practice that felt spacious and magical and beautiful. And I'll tell you what, that's the cool thing about the morning practice. It doesn't have to look any one way. In fact, I encourage moms and entrepreneurs who are moms to include their children when they're little, because it's really difficult to wake up an hour earlier unless that's something you just feel called to do, which if you do, go for it. Like, I love waking up early now, but I didn't always love waking up early. I actually really love to sleep. But now my son sleeps in. So for me, waking up early could be 6 or 6:30. But some women wake up at 4:30 or 5. I'm not telling you what time to wake up. All I'm saying is that the benefits of starting your day with intention, with the 3-step magic morning practice, the way I teach it. And if you haven't had a chance to try it yet, go ahead and try it. Like, sign up for the challenge, but there's also a free video that you can start with on elenalipson.com/gift. If you're a listener of the podcast, you've heard me talk about this in the intro to the podcast. I've mentioned it many, many times before. It's one of the core frameworks and teachings of my self-care circle, which is going into its 5th year for 2019. I can't believe it. It's amazing. But it's been really, really a beautiful pillar to the teachings of self-care, because the way you start your day is the way you show up in the world. You can quote me on that. It's a quote I use quite often that I actually created years ago because it's so true. The more I have to do in the world, the more that's required of me, the more I focus on making sure that I have this bubble of time in the morning to align myself to my highest intention. But I don't know what my intention is until I spend time asking myself that question. And again, it doesn't have to take very long. And you do inspire those around you. In fact, if you've been a listener of the podcast, you've heard me tell the story before. My son, who's now 13, when he was about, I would say 7 or 8 years old, I've been practicing this magic morning practice for about 10 years now. So I started when he was about 2 or 3 years old. But when he was around 7 or 8, I woke him up one morning after I practiced my 3 steps of my magic morning practice for mind, body, and spirit. And he looked at me from his bed, his sleepy little eyes, and he's like, "Mom, how come you're so happy when you wake me up?" And so I told him, I'm like, by the time I wake you up, I have already done my movement, my yoga, or my dance, or I've written in my journal, and I've taken some time to be quiet and still and really listen to my own heart. And he's like, "I want to have a self-care morning practice too." I'm like, "Okay." And I was really careful not to tell him what to do. I was just curious about what he would do. And he said, "I want you to wake me up 20 minutes early, and then I want to take a bath." And he wanted me to wake him up 20 minutes early so that he could just lounge in bed. He really loved just laying cozy in bed when he wakes up, not just jump right out of bed. And so that's what we started to do. And that really, really changed our mornings. I mean, the reason that I started doing the morning practice was because I was feeling really ill in my body. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. I was not enjoying being a mother in the way that I really wanted to. I was hurrying all the time. I was very serious. I wasn't on the floor playing with my son the way I used to when he was really little before that. And I just didn't like it. And so through my own exploration, my own spiritual exploration, going back to yoga, taking yoga teacher training, and doing my own spiritual evolution and journey, I found my way to creating this magic morning practice. And it really began to shift my entire way of being in my family. So this is something that I teach, I practice, I believe in, and I'm a real, I will preach it from the mountains. If you are looking for some change in your life, commit to a magic morning practice. So I wanted to give you 7 steps to getting jiggy with your morning practice, kids and all. And then I'm going to share some quotes with you, because I went to my audience, I went to the ladies I know, and I asked them what their best advice, because a lot of these women have been in my circle, have been following me for a long time. They've been practicing the magic morning practice. So I asked them for some of their best practices, and I think you'll really enjoy them. And I'll share that with you after these 7 steps to getting jiggy with your morning practice, kids and all. So the first step is deciding that something is better than nothing. Just because you can't do an hour or 30 minutes doesn't mean you can't do anything. In fact, I always say if you have 3 minutes, you can do a magic morning practice. If you don't believe me, just try it. Try it for yourself. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift, download the video, and try it. Try it tomorrow. Try it for 2 days. See how it goes. If you want to join us for the challenge, you can do that too. Number 2 of getting jiggy with your morning practice, kids and all, is to know that you are showing up your kids in a better way, and you're breaking the ancestral loops. If you did not have a model, an embodiment of a woman in your life, a mother, a grandmother, an aunt, that you grew up with as a model of self-care, then you are learning from scratch. You are doing it your way, and you're breaking the cycle of the martyr as a mother. Okay, so you're showing your kids how to do it, not just talking about it, not just talking about being more kind and compassionate and present and less distracted, but you're actually doing it. Number 3 is staying gentle and flexible. What works for you one day might not work for you the next day, or if your kiddos are not feeling well, or if it's summer vacation. Stay gentle and flexible. Change it as you go. I know for me, I change mine based on seasons. I love to get outside really quickly when it's warm out. When it's cold out, like right now, it's windy and rainy and cold, I will snuggle in bed, and I will do my stretching in bed and do my journaling in bed, because that's where I want to be. So stay gentle and flexible, especially with your cycles as a woman, with the moon cycles and your body cycles. There's days you'll feel amazing and want to do it a lot longer. And there's other days where you'll just feel really slow. Like today, I'm not feeling 100%. So I just stayed really slow and easy with myself. And I just didn't push anything. All right, number 4, and this is a huge one, is you can also let your kiddos guide you. If you have little kids who want to be with you first thing in the morning or wake up really early, just let it be. let them be with you. Like when my son was little, I would create a basket of goodies for him every night, not like food, but toys to play with, something new that he hadn't seen in a while. And at that age, they forget quickly. So every morning he would come into my room, depending what time it was. There was a time where I was sleeping with him in the bed, so he was just right there. And if I wanted to do some yoga stretches, I knew that either I had to distract him with some new toys, or I had to be okay with the fact that he was crawling all over me, sometimes even nursing when I was doing yoga. So it's just okay. Whatever it is, it is. Number 5 of getting jiggy with your morning practice is notice the difference. This is where you begin to solidify your commitment to your morning practice. Once you understand that there's a return on investment of your morning practice, you will have more reason to continue. So just begin to notice the difference of how you show up in your day, the days that you do it, and the days that you don't do the morning practice. Okay, number 6 is know that it will change and evolve over time. Again, back to the rhythms, seasons, and cycles. Just like self-care changes, just like your kids grow and change, your practice can change as well. And number 7 of the 7 steps to getting jiggy with your morning practice is just know that it will be over one day, and your kids will grow up and they will be out of the house, and you'll have all the time that you so desperately crave right now. So enjoy this phase now. Don't let it slip by your heart or your head or your fate, like your entire soul. I know there's parts of it that are hard. I know there's parts of it that make you want to sob with the stress and pressure of it all. And that's okay. Go for it. Have a good sob. Let it out. Don't hold it in. Holding that stuff in gets you sick, okay? It's okay. But when you understand that it's all going to be fleeting one day, they're not going to be babies forever. There'll be times when they're teenagers and they're adults and they just won't be on your body so much, you know? That perspective changes everything for me. When I understand that the things that I'm so annoyed by will change, the things that I love will change, it's all going to change. So just come to it with this understanding that it's fleeting. And it feels like I've heard someone describe motherhood as the longest days, but the shortest years. And I didn't really appreciate that until just very recently, because my son's 13 now. And it feels like I'm going to blink and he's going to be 18. And that makes me want to cry. It really does make me emotional. So I try more and more and more to just be so present, to not be on the phone, to not be distracted, to really listen to him when he talks, to not assume that I know what he's going to say, and just to let him become who he is, just the same way that I treat myself. So those are the 7 steps to get jiggy with your morning practice. And now I want to share some advice from some of the most amazing ladies in my community. So this one comes from Rachel Friedman Mizels, and she says, instead of alarm clocks, I wake up my 8 and 12-year-old with 2 to 3 minute back rubs. It gets the blood flowing, it gets us in touch with each other, and we start our day together, just in a peaceful give and receive. And wouldn't you want to wake up to a back rub? I love that. Love it. Okay, the next one comes from Samira Williams, who is one of my amazing Divine Self-Care Circle Divines. And she says, make them a part of it. Stack functions. My daughter and I do morning yoga together or walk before school. We connect, ground, lean in, intention set together. And sometimes I get up 2 hours early and spend sacred self-care time alone. Both are needed and sacred. I love it. Okay, then Jennifer S. Kennett says, start with some version of I love you. That's so awesome. I just love that. Very simple, to the point. Excuse me. And then Julie Lieberman, who is the host of her own podcast called Mother's Quest. You can find her at mothersquest.com. She had an episode on her podcast called The Miracle Morning for Parents and Families. And the author was Lindsay Kaufman McCarthy. Sounds like my soul sister for sure. She says, I've begun doing the charms with my little guy. And she did a practice, it was on her Instagram stories, where her little guy, so cute by the way, he eats magic beans, which are actually just almonds, to set intentions as part of the M for mindfulness. Now, I don't know what CHARMS stands for, but I'm going to have to go and get that book and check it out. It sounds really awesome. Okay, then Teresa Mazzella, who is another one of my divines, says, let go of what you think a morning practice should look like and lean into what it feels like. I have 2 boys, and up until last year, both would crawl into bed at 4 a.m. Now only my youngest does. Sometimes I journal, pull angel cards, visualize or meditate while he is asleep beside me, and that works for me. Oh, I love that. See, that's that fleeting part, right? It just changes. Jen Kohler says, my son, who is 5, does affirmations, gratitude, and yoga every morning. We track our morning routine and make it fun together. Start them young. There you go. Talk about breaking those ancestral loops and creating new pathways for our amazing children who are going to change the world for sure. I mean, kids starting like this, oh my gosh, I can't even wait to see what they're going to do. Okay, a few more for you. Amanda Crater says, I have a 1-year-old. Morning self-care is me trying not to leave the house with a slipper Velcroed to my back. And let me tell you, I saw the picture that she posted with this. It was no joke. There was really a slipper Velcro to her back where her son was in a sling in the front. It was freaking hilarious. So have a sense of humor. It's all good. She's got a 1-year-old. Sometimes you forget your shoes altogether. So there you go. All right. Then Dejan Farrell says, my son and I listen to our favorite mantra first thing when we get in the car to take him to school. We then say a prayer, set an intention for the day, and play fun songs for our car dance party. I love that. I do that too. I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, 3 more for you. Brooke, I hope you're getting inspired by these. Like truly, you can see how different they are, right? Okay, Brooke Summer says, accept that a morning self-care routine is different for everyone and could change based on circumstances in your life or your season of life. My morning routine has changed a lot as my kids change, their needs change, etc. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was saying. These women are so freaking wise, you guys. Okay. Then Sarah says, Sarah Drury, who is one of my friends, and she's amazing, does a lot of self-care work, and I've been on her podcast as well. She says, for me, it's been letting my husband take care of my son in the mornings. He gets him up and feeds him breakfast, and I get to spend some time alone doing my self-care practice. I have 0 guilt around asking for what I need and getting creative on ways to make it all work for all of us. I show up as a better wife and a mama when I put myself first. A freaking men, right? I mean, if you have a husband or partner, someone in your house who can help, ask for help. You do not have to do this alone, ever, okay? So ask for help. And I love that she says, I have 0 guilt around asking for what I need and getting creative on ways to make it all work for all of us. Love that. Okay, and this is the last one. And this is one of my amazing alumni from the Divine Self-Care Circle. She is one of our guest teachers as well. Angela Thompson Andrews says, honestly, when I first started, it was rough. My boys were used to me being at the beck and call all the time. They didn't understand my new boundaries. I started by creating my sacred corner that was just for me. I told them they could not disturb me when I was there. At first, they would push the envelope, but after some time, even they began to see how much more pleasant and present I was when I had time for my self-care. As time passed, I was able to expand what self-care meant to my family and create more ritual and me time with little to no disruption. They now notice when I don't have my time. I love when they send me to my corner, and I absolutely love that. And I happen to know that Angela has been in my circle for several years now, and I know that her oldest son is now in college, so he's not even in the house anymore. So just to show you, like, you guys, you know, you have to understand, like, everything that feels so big right now, it will shift. Things shift, things change. It's just how life is, right? But when you align with yourself every morning, when you check in with yourself every morning with the magic morning practice, you have a checkpoint, you have an access point to being present, pleasant, aligned, all those things you just heard from those amazing women sharing their best practices around self-care. So I invite you to join me. Either check out the Magic Morning Practice if it's your first time hearing it. Again, it's elenalipson.com. elena.com/gift. And if you're ready to do it together as a 5-day challenge, we start in a few days, and actually in a week from today, head on over to elenalipson.com/magic morning challenge. That's where you're going to find community support, and we are going to do it together. So I do hope to see you there. Again, if you're not subscribed to the podcast, please make sure you subscribe and share with your friends. That's how the word gets spread out, because if we have so many women, all these moms out there, taking care of themselves, starting their days with their children, with joy, love, peace, can you imagine? We are going to change this world together, you and me. So thank you so much for being here today. I hope you got some inspiration and some insights and are ready to create your own magic morning practice. This is Elena Lipson, your divine self-care mentor, self-care coach, and I will see you on our next episode of the Divine Self-Care Meditations and Musings podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Go take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for listening and learning about the new divine self-care way of being in your life, business, and the bedroom based on the divine feminine metrics of success: pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. If you're ready to bust the myth of overwhelm and tap into an inspired start to each day, I've put together a free video series for you to help you start each day with energy, inspiration, and ignite that inner pilot light which attracts joy, magic, and synchronicity. You can access my 3-step magic morning practice to help you ignite your inner light and attract the abundance that you're craving. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would so love if you share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and please leave a review. That is how the magic starts to ripple out. Here's wishing you a day full of beauty, magic, and divine self-care. I'll see you next time at the Meditations and Musings podcast.